But the question is, who's going to hit the hardest? What's up, guys? Okkotsu here, and here we are to do a nice little discussion on which of the four heavy hitters I'm the most excited to see go off, pop off, go absolutely insane, crazy, bonkers in this final battle of Jujutsu Kaisen. Whether you think the final battle is just against Sukuna, whether you think the battle is going to be against the merger, whether you think the battle is going to be against some variation of Kinji Hakari, whether you think it's going to be all three, or Urume, or something of the sort. We got four heavy schwangadangers, and we got four people with unbelievable powers and unbelievable abilities. And I want to talk about who the most interesting one will be to watch cook, who I'm most excited to see. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into number 4. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And I swear I like Hakari, alright? I swear, I pinky promise, I do like Hakari Kinji. I think he's a real neat guy, a real cool dude. I do want... He's just so boring, though, on a fighting level. That's the main... Well, then again, I guess another character is going to be higher than him. Is also boring on a fighting level. And another character is also going to be boring on a fighting level. But the main thing about Hakari Kinji, and why I'm kind of, like, excited to see him fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm so happy that he's fighting Urume. It's probably, once again, if we actually get, like, who knows, more than a chapter and a half of it. Considering what? We have about we have 2 pages, and about half a chapter. So, if it's more than 2.5 chapters, it probably will be one of my favorite fights in the entire series. I love Hakari versus Kashimo as a battle. It's in my top 10, maybe even top 5, depending on my mood. In terms of pure fights, it's probably in my top 3. So, like, I love Hakari Kinji. I love the way he fights. I love the way he interacts, especially with elemental users, like Urume and like Kashimo. I know those are, like, 2 of the 4 people he's fought, but still, I am very interested to see how Hakari interacts with certain things. But overall, he kind of just... He's so disconnected from everything in a way that kind of doesn't necessarily make me care all too much that he's here, even though I'm happy that he's here. You know what I'm saying? The main reason Hakari Kinji is so low on this list, number 4, the bottom spot of the heavy hitters of Jujutsu High, it's really just because Hakari doesn't really have much stake in the fight. And also, I think he's kind of boring as a fighter. But still, he just doesn't have much stake in the fight. Remember, he's here because Yuta wants him to be here. And Itadori wants him to be here. And Maki is probably indifferent, but wants him to be here. And because Kashimo is around. You see what happened to Kashimo? I feel like the same thing is going to happen to Hakari. Unfortunately, as great as he is, right, the man has such an interesting character. I love the concept of the fever. I love how excited he is for a good gamble, a good rush. I love how, in a way, we're diving into the idea that Hakari is inherently inhuman in his means and metrics and how he operates in comparison to a lot of the other sources of the modern day, whether that be Satoru Gojo, whether that be Yuta Okkotsu, whether that be Itadori Yuji, heck, whether that be even Maki Zenin. I love the idea of his inhumanity being explored in the battle against Urume, but it's just that it's half the fact that he has no stake, and the other half, well, other than, like, his survival, obviously, that's a massive stake in the battle, but not only the fact that he has no stakes, but also, I kind of just don't see him doing anything more important than beating Urume and being a punching bag. You know what I'm saying? Once again, this just comes from the fact that he's mentioned super early on in the narrative. I think Hakari is mentioned as early as Kyoto's Goodwill event, which is forever and a day ago. If you've been reading the JJK manga. Heck, even if you're an anime watcher, that's what, like 3-4 years ago at this point? So he's been introduced as a character with a concept for a hot minute, but for the character that we actually know as Hakari Kinji, more than just a little flashback panel, we have so little of him that I don't think he really has the narrative heft. He doesn't have the narrative weight. Sure, he's a heavy hitter. He has RCT not on the level, but beyond the level of Gojo Satoru and Ryomen Sukuna for 4 minutes and 11 seconds in Jackpot. He has a faster domain amplification. He has a faster domain activation than Mahito with a 0.2 second domain, where he literally folds his technique and his sure hit into one along with opening the barrier. He obviously has insane potential. This is one of the few that Satoru Gojo himself is like, hey, yo, bro, I don't know. Gakuganji, I'll be real. It seems like these kids, Special grade may not hold him no more. That may be just a little bit different. Like, clearly, the slop is there for Hakari. But, like, in a similar vein to how I knew, no matter how much I would have wanted it in my heart of hearts, that realistically Kashimo was going to accomplish nothing against Sukuna, I don't really see Hakari accomplishing anything more than beating Uraume. And trust me, I'm a big Uraume stan. I'm an Uraume... What word goes with you that could be synonymous with rider, glazer, or Uraume under... Not Uraume underappreciated. I overappreciated Uraume. Like, they're one of my main agendas. I don't know. But as an Uraume glazer myself, I do like Uraume, but, like... That ain't Sukuna, though. They are a side villain of side villains. Uraume's had even less screen time than Hakari, if you believe it or not. So, like, sure, fighting Uraume is cool, but, like, what am I expected to believe that Hakari Kinji's doing against Sukuna? Like, remember, Hakari Kinji, the man who was struggling to deal with base Kashimo. And I mean struggling. Like, once again, call me a Kashimo creamer. But, like, I 100% believe that Hakari would have won that fight. Then again, he has gotten stronger. Everyone's supposedly gotten stronger according to Sukuna. But how much stronger? We really think Jackpot Hakari is going to go mink, 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 and actually do damage to Sukuna, punch him in the mouth? I don't think so. Hakari's cursed energy trait hasn't been brought up, I think, literally since its introduction. Like, maybe, I think Charles mentions it. So that's, like, darn near, not 100 chapters. We're getting close on it, but, like, that's like darn near 80 chapters ago. I think Charles mentioned the roughness of Hakari cursed energy trait. Then, we haven't got a mention of it in the Uraume fight. We never got a mention of it in the Kashimo fight. None of that. So, do you really want to come to me and tell me that the punch kick immortal merchant, the gambling addict, is going to actually do something to Ryoma and Sukuna? I just don't buy it. The most I could see Hakari doing in terms of fighting Sukuna is being a meat shield. Like, he'll be there. He'll soak up some hits. He'll, like, maybe get in the way of a lethal blow for somebody else. Like, and it was going to be crazy. Like, he's going to be cut in half, just like Satoru Gojo was. And once again, to complete the whole narrative of Hakari being able to transcend Gojo in one way, shape, or form, or overall becoming a stronger source than him and being able to stand alongside him as he's being cut in half by a spatial slash, he's going to be like, oh, yeah. I love the fever. He's going to start clapping and dancing, and suddenly he's going to have his legs grow back, and he's going to start hitting the moves again. Like, there's that. There's cool stuff that can happen there, but once again, I just see a boop, and then his whole dome piece is gone. And sure, there are definitely unknowns about Hakari. A lot of people are banking, and I mean banking on the 77777, not 77, not that many sevens, 777 jackpot being something special, and he maybe gets some sort of ability, or maybe he learned how to fire off cursed energy. A lot of people are hoping and coping, and I literally mean hoping and coping for some crazy stuff from Hakari, but I just don't see Gege giving him that. I really don't. I really don't. If Kashimo got as little as Kashimo did, I don't see Hakari's main opponent, or no, Kashimo's main opponent, Hakari, really getting much more. Because once again, it's a similar issue I have to Higuruma, and him accomplishing pretty much anything outside of maybe taking away Kamutoke. It just wouldn't really make sense in terms of the narrative weight. I'm going to make a whole tier list discussing, like, characters of the narrative weight. So I'm not just, like, speaking vaguely. I'll be able to reference back to that video and be like, if you want to know where I think a character scales in terms of narrative weight, go to that video. So don't worry, that's going to come out soon. But in terms of narrative weight, Hakari's not up there. In terms of personal stake, Hakari's not up there. In terms of the ability to fight interestingly, Hakari's not up there. Unless he starts, like, pulling an Andy from Undead Unluck and starts firing off body parts or doing some crazy things, or starts launching out, like, massive infinite curse energy Kamehameha. Unless he and Sukuna start having a beam slash with a dismantle and a Kamehameha wave from Hakari, I'm just not buying it. And I just don't see Gege doing it. That's the main thing. I don't see Gege giving Hakari anything that's worth getting hyped or excited over, nor do I see Hakari having any real strict connection to Sukuna, or Megumi, or Yuji. Like, once again, the man barely knows anybody. He's here because he was asked to be. He's here because, under false pretenses too, because he supposedly is going to get the Zenin clan supporting him in his illegal fighting ring, but then again, I suppose there is no upper society now, so he's doing pro bono work, and, like, pro-life work, because, you know, he wants to be alive. That's about it. No real stake in the battle, no real investment, no nothing. And sure, there are going to be characters above him who also have pretty much little to no investment. They have some. They have a whiff and a dribble, and they could have more interesting interactions and stuff like that. And overall, I'm just more interested in seeing them fight because I like their characters more. Alright? I'm not going to say I don't like Hakari at all. He's easily one of probably top 15 in terms of just sheer character, probably like a top 10 character for me. But I simply cannot put him in the same echelon as his competition that ranks above the Restless Gambler. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into number 3. You know I hate doing my my agenda. But I'm gonna put Maki Zenin at number 3. This hurts me more than it hurts you. Trust me, Maki, it hurts me more than it hurts you, but I'm gonna have to put you at number 3. And it's for a lot of the similar reasons as Hakari. As much as I love Maki, unless she gets like a piece of the inverted spear of heaven, that missing piece, or she gets some other weird cursed tool, or she does something else, on fort, she just can't fight that interestingly against Sukuna. Like, she has to sneak him. She genuinely has to sneak him. Because I'm sorry, if Maki was struggling to do anything to 15-finger Maguna, what do you really want me to believe in terms of just sheer hand-to-hand, even with a month training off for everything? But then again, she doesn't even have cursed energies. Who knows? She would just have to like hit the gym or something. What do you really expect Maki to be able to do against Sukuna? Just ming 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 ming. She has to pull up with the Soul Split Katana. And even then, there's a question on whether or not Sukuna will let himself get hit by that. And even if he does, she gets one shot. Before she gets one shot. Like, that's the thing. Where Hakari can kind of get hit, and you can definitely argue, oh, well, he's got the RCT. You know, he can survive. As long as he's in jackpot, he may need to run away and not, like, actually engage in a domain battle with Sukuna, because I don't think I need to explain to you that Heianera Sukuna versus base Hakari is a massacre. But, like, sure, he can find some ways to get immortal, and as long as he keeps that head, that dome piece of his protected from a spatial slash, then you can definitely argue that, you know, Hakari can get to cooking. But Maki, a dismantle going her way cooked. Cleave going away cooked. And, well, then again, Cleave is just a curse. Would Cleave work on Maki? He'd probably have to use Dismantle. But even still, Dismantle's gonna work. Cleave, if it does work, it's gonna work. Flame Arrow, if it works, it's gonna work. Just fisticuffs. Once again, I'm gonna keep pushing it. I'll make a whole video talking about it properly. But I personally believe the base body matters. It's why I think 15-finger Yuji Kuna is physically stronger than Meguna, because the base body matters. Then you put Cursed Energy Reinforcement on top of it. It's why Yuji Itadori was such a monster, because his physical base was already monstrous, plus he got the Cursed Energy. But regardless of whether or not you believe it, unless you think the fingers do nothing for Sukuna's power, and you assume that every single finger variation is equal, 20 is greater than 15. And unlike the others who can get more Cursed Energy Reinforcement, Maki can't really get that. Unless she just, once again, hits the gym and gets her basic gains up. So she really just can come in with one shot. That's it. That's all she can pull out on Sukuna. And hopefully it's lethal. That's the main thing. We gotta hope it's lethal. Because if she shows up and now needs to start fighting, just... unless she can, like, start perceiving the slashes and can use Soul Split Katana to, like, I don't know, like, reflect them or something. I have no idea. That's the thing. I don't know. You have to give her something else. You have to give her something else that's not established. You have to give her, like, that piece of inverted spear of heaven and have her be able to perceive the slashes through, like, the motions of the air and, like, block them out with the inverted spear. There are things you can do to make Maki more interesting. Once again, like an inverted spear, any other cursed tool buff. You could literally introduce anything. Heck, give her Kamutoke, I guess. Do something. Maybe give her, well, Playful Cloud doesn't exist anymore. It's currently buried in that guy's head and broken apart. So Playful Cloud doesn't... there's nothing left. Cursed Tool, I mean, there's the entire Zenin, like, Forge or whatever. But I don't know. Outside of that, I don't really see anything Maki can do on a fighting front that's, like, all too crazy. I would love if Sukuna was holding back, which he most likely will do, because he actually does find Maki somewhat interesting. I would love if he and her just had a whole intense air battle. Because remember, these are two of the only characters in the series who can, like... well, at least alive characters. And there are some flyers, but, like, they're one of the two characters in the series, like, the three in terms of the heavenly restriction users in Maki and Toji and Sukuna, who can, like, genuinely fight in midair, like, just hop off air and start fighting each other. I would love to see that. And that's why I think Maki does get points over Hakari from a fighting standpoint. While Maki can also, just like Hakari, mainly just punch and kick. She does have Soul Split. She does have more interesting aerial mobility. She does have her extreme martial arts skill. She does have the fact that she can most likely pull up with any single cursed tools, considering we just haven't seen her in a bit. She can pull up with a crazy sneak attack and do some lethal damage to Sukuna. And unlike Hakari, I feel like she has not as much narrative weight as the two above her, despite Maki being introduced in the main narrative a lot earlier than the person who's going to be above her. But of course, before, well, actually, kind of technically, she's even, if you go with JJK0 as the beginning of the narrative, both of the characters above her, well, no, she's introduced after one of the characters above her, but before another one of the characters above her. So technically, she could have more narrative weight than this. And the thing is, I'm leaning towards the fact that Maki has gotten too much to get so little. You know what I'm saying? In comparison to Hakari, right? Like, Hakari introduced to take down Kashimo, get the points, and kind of exists now. And take care of her roommate now. Good stuff, good stuff. But Maki had a whole character arc centered around the feelings about the Zenin clan and I'm not going to say the tricksterous? Treachery. The treachery of the Jujutsu world, and how it treats people like her, and the heavily restrictions and all that, and the completion of Toji's character arc. And we know Gege loves Toji. It feels like Maki has gotten way too much to be reduced to nothing, to be disappearing, being put on the back burner with characters like Angel, characters like Mei, characters like Ui, characters like she just hasn't been there. And I get why, for a mainly for a sneak attack tactic. I think it's getting a little bit late for that now, Maki. You better hurry up and do something with that sneak attack. But with that being the case, I do genuinely believe that she does deserve just a bit more based on how much narrative has been spent on her. Like, it'd be kind of whack, at least in my opinion. It would be kind of whack to give her all of Sakurajima Colony very specifically to awaken her to be the level of Toji Fushiguro, and then have her last real intense battle be like half a chapter long. Okay, more than that. Well, actually, no, like maybe 3/4 of a chapter long against Sukuna. Then she gets frozen and then she never fights again. After all the time we invested in her. I feel like she does kind of need something. What that something would be, though, is the question. I mean, it really depends on how much is going to happen with that last finger. You could just have Maki and Yuta parallel each other. Yuta slices off Kenny's head, gets rid of him, but the merger starts, and then Maki does the same, removes Sukuna's head when he's super off guard, and then we still have the one finger, so Yuji can still have that final climactic showdown with Sukuna. Like, there's still definitely things you can do it, but I'm not, as much as a Maki and Toji glazer that Gege is, I don't see them doing that for real. Like, that's a vision. I want to see it. I want to manifest it. I want to manifest that destiny. But I'm not sure if I'm really seeing that one for Maki. But at the same time, I feel like, what else do you give her to do? Because I'm not sure she's going to be useful against the merger. Like, the thing about Sukuna is that he's human-sized. Big human. Big human. Shock-sized. But, like, he is human-sized. So Soba Katana could most likely do something. Kenjaku was human-sized. He most likely could have done something, but Kenjaku's head is currently on the ground. The only other thing I could hypothetically see is her not being used against Sukuna, but being used against possessed Yuta or possessed Taka. But even then, that's completely different. That leaps into so many different other directions. So Maki, as a combatant, it feels like she has more narrative weight than Akari. I feel like she has genuine means and metrics to damage Sukuna or whatever opponent she has due to the nature of Soul's Katana. And it feels like, overall, she does have a bit more stake in the plot. Mainly because she did know Megami. She does care about her Kohais. Of course, she does have, well, not many connections to Satoru Gojo. That's the thing. She isn't that much better than Akari in terms of, like, investment to the battle. But at least she has some. She knew who Megami was before, however, I think Hakari met Megami that same day? Maybe, I forget. He's a third year, so maybe he met Megami before that. But even still, he barely knows anything about Megami. He clearly didn't recognize him when he first showed up, so I don't know. I'm not really seeing the vision for Hakari in terms of any connection, but then again, Maki doesn't have much connection either. She very explicitly notes that she never saw Gojo as a teacher. She rides him a whole bunch, not in that way, but rides him a whole bunch in terms of just like his personality and stuff like that, and his lack of care. So I'm not, unfortunately, just on a character investment level, I'm not really seeing the vision for Maki either, which is unfortunate, which is very unfortunate, but I think she provides a more interesting fight. She can provide more interesting choreography, whether it be mid-air choreography, a sneak attack, actual damage, all that to Sukuna, which Akari cannot provide. So naturally, I'm going to have to put her at number 3. But let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into number 2. Yuta Okkotsu. Yuta Okkotsu. The boy had to be all the way up here. It had to be him. Now, admittedly, I'm kind of leaning towards the camp that I kind of want Yuta possessed. Mainly because, it'd be kind of neat to see him, can he possess Yuta and see him use Rika as the basis for the merger. All that stuff. That's very, very neat. But putting aside that bias, putting that to the side for a moment, in terms of fight creativity, in terms of fight ability, in terms of homages to previous characters, in terms of crazy, it's Yuta Okkotsu. Man has copy. He's just the Kakashi that can actually be the Kakashi. Because one issue with Kakashi is that Kakashi barely uses his, oh, I know 1,000 jutsu. Yuta Okkotsu knows 3 curse techniques. And he used them all. Some of which he learned this very same day. Not even the very same day, the very same, like, hour. Only, like, 5-minute period. Like, he got hit with sky manipulation once and pulled that bad boy out. And he's a prodigy. I want to see him whip out cleaves. I want to see him whip out dismantles. I want to see him infuse Star Rage or something. I want to see him whip out projection sorcery. I want to see him whip out blood manipulation. I want to see him whip out I want to see Yuta Okkotsu go absolutely buku bonkers, because Sugata's the one character that can handle it. That's the big thing. Especially if you believe Yuta didn't go out. I personally still believe he did. But if you think Yuta's gotten stronger over the 1-month time skip, and he just low diff Kenny, and Kenny's just permanently cooked from the narrative, that's just a thing that has happened, and there's nothing we can do about that, then we gotta see him go all out against somebody. We gotta see him whip out them new techniques against somebody. I need to see Angel's technique. I need to see Bird Strike used properly and actually land on somebody. I need to see tool manipulate. Give me literally everything. Gege, give him the wiki. Slide him the wiki. Give him the cloning technique, even though it makes absolutely no sense for him to know that. Give him the cloning technique. Give him a knockoff variation Limitless. Give him the knockoff variation Curse Spirit Manipulation. Give him literally everything. Because notably, one of the biggest reasons I'm super, omega, giga, mega, crazy, whatever large adjectives there are, with that being the case, the reason I'm so nettled that Kenjaku was reduced to such a low diff fight, thanks to the help of Takaba, isn't the fact that he was a fraud for it, because I don't care about that. No, he's not a fraud for actually thinking smartly. It's the same reason I don't think Sugata's a fraud. He's not a fraud for preparing and messing around when he feels like it. It's the fact that Kenjaku is one of 2, count them, 2 characters in the entire series who could possibly, maybe, sorta, kinda, softly go bar for bar with Yuta in terms of curse technique to curse technique. Yuta, he has 3 right now. Who knows what else he could have gotten over that time skip? We could have had an epic battle, a proper rematch between Suguru Geto and Yuta Okkotsu. It's a proper special grade Yuta Okkotsu versus Kenjaku and Suguru Geto's body. Every single curse technique that Yuta pulled out, Kenny could have pulled out a counter for, and vice versa. Every single curse technique that Kenny pulled out, Yuta could have had a counter for. We could have gone bar for bar, back and forth, or it'd be Kenny's own internal techniques that he has stored in that big old brain of his, or curse spirits that he's absorbed, or Uzumaki's that he gets on the fly. Like, there's so many different things that we could have gotten out of that battle. But that battle's done. It's over. At least for now. Once again, we don't know if Yu's going to get possessed. We don't know if Takaba, if you think he's gone, you don't know if Takaba's going to get possessed. We don't know anything about that. But presumably, if we're going to get Yuta versus Ryomen Suga, if Kenny's really cooked, I don't believe it, but let's say Kenny's really cooked and Yuta, and he returns back to the battlefield and leaps in. I need to see bro slide on that ring and go insane. He has the most interesting fight potential. Even more interesting than the person above him. Infinitely more interesting fight potential. He can kind of just do anything. With 5 minutes, unlimited access to unlimited curse energy, the strongest Shikigami outside of Maharaga in the entire series, and just a whole bunch of willpower and determination, you know that boy can go crazy. And once again, unlike the people beneath him, he has genuine stakes in the battle. Like real proper stakes. We know that Yuta Okkotsu owes his life. The way he is able to live now, the fact that he has friends, all that. He owes all that to Gojo Satoru. The once strongest sorcerer. The strongest sorcerer of the modern day. He owes all that to Gojo. And he just had to watch his sensei, his savior, his long-lost family member, all that get cut down ruthlessly by the king of curses. All that is now gone. Sacrificed just like that. You can even see it in 236, where Yuta's gripping his blade. He's angry, he's sad, but Maki simply puts a hand on his shoulders and tells him to lock in, stay focused. So I need to get the run back. I need to see Yuta pop off. And the thing is, he has the character investment. He has the raw stat. Well, maybe not the raw stat, Suga is still a demon. But he has the curse technique variability that he can literally pull out anything and I wouldn't care. Like, if Maki pulls out the perfect curse tool to mystically magically counter Sugana, unless it's like the Avert Spear of Heaven, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah. Unless Hakari gets like the 777 jackpot and that actually does have like super special mystical magical effects, like a lot of people are assuming it does, then I'm presumably gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah. But if Yuta Okkotsu pulls out I don't know, random Shikiganami technique number 45. If he whips out the 10 shadows, if he just says, with this treasure I summon, and goes crazy, I wouldn't even be mad. That's the thing. Yuta is like the get out of jail free card for everything. You can literally give Yuta the verse. Like I said, just slide him the wiki, and I wouldn't be mad at it. Because this is Roman Sukuna. We kind of need to cheat. Like before, it was always like, oh, well, Gojo Satoru's a cheat code. So we got to give the villain some things. We got to make Sukuna stronger. We got to slide him 10 shadows. Don't worry, I know he doesn't necessarily need it. You know, Gojo said that himself, whatever. But we give him 10 shadows. We give Kenny a very advanced body. We give Urume just brokenness. But now, shoot, the good guys need some cheats. And Yuta Okkotsu is the cheat machine. Just put everything and anything into him. Tell me he figured out how to copy the ability of Soul Split Katana. He can now negate durability with his own katana. Give me that. Tell me he figured out Inverted Spirit of Heaven somehow. Give me that. Tell me he figured out Blank Robe somehow. Give me that. Tell me he figured out Angel's Technique and managed to compress it down somehow. Give me that. Like, just give me everything. Because Yuta Okkotsu can literally do everything. The 5 minutes is a little bit questionable, but presumably maybe Yuta picked up a thing or two from watching the battle and knows how to override that 5-minute negation or 5-minute time limit over with some RCT or something like that. You can do so much with Yuta on a fighting front, and he actually has genuine, real character stakes and actual, genuine reason to fight Sukuna. I need it, bro. I need to see them, if only a little. You know the main thing I'm here to see. I want to see the Queen of Curses versus the King of Curses. Bro, it writes itself, bro. It's like the chess player in me screaming out loud, bro. I need to see it. Obviously, Sukuna wins. But that's the thing. Against all these characters, obviously, Sukuna should win. But if there's any character on this list, maybe even more than the character above, that I'm more than happy, more than willing to turn a blind eye to, more willing to just peek on it and keep it pushing, if there's one character who is indubitably and absolutely like that, it is Yuta Okkotsu, the blessed child who lost the man who saved his life and would do anything to avenge him. And I'm super excited and hopefully ready to see Yuta Okkotsu come in and avenge Gojo Satoru, whether he has stitches on his head or not. I mean, who else was it going to be? You thought it was going to be someone else? I know he's doing nothing right now. I know he's entirely outclassed. I know Higuruma's blade is not doing anything. I know he's currently fodder. But you think I care? You think that hurts my soul? I've been a Yuji Itadori fan. I've been through the mud. I know he's boring. But I got faith. I got one thing, and that's faith. I got one thing in my boy, and that's faith. I put him up above. I believe it. I believe in my boy. I believe in him. I believe in him wholeheartedly. Of course, Yuji Itadori is number one in terms of who I'm most excited to see in the decisive battle in the Demon-Infested Shinjuku Part 4386 against Ryomen Sukuna. Now, why? Obviously, the character thing. Like, notably, I still do believe Kinji Hakari Itadori would have an interesting character dynamic. I do kind of want to see more of their interactions. Their whole mother-daughter dynamic would be very, very interesting to... Not mother-daughter. Mother-son dynamic would be very interesting to see expanded upon more. But, like, Kenny doesn't even... Like, I think Itadori does know that Kenny's his mom now, based on that one little flashback we saw of him with his dad. And, like, the dad mentioning that, oh, yeah, remember, father, Wasuke, you know, babies remember more than you think. So I think he does know. I think he has a general idea that Kenny's his mom, but he's never actually addressed that. We've never really gone into that. He's acknowledged Shoso as his brother, but we haven't really explored it all too much. So, sure. Do I want to see more Yuji and Kenny interactions? Indubitably. But I won't even lie. In terms of the one who... Sukuna, well, it's just Sukuna, bro. It's just Sukuna. Like, in terms of the one that Itadori has the most genuine animosity towards, genuine beef with, actual, true, valid, undeniable, and proper hatred in his heart for, it's Sukuna. Sukuna stole his best friend. Sukuna is the reason Itadori has a majority of his guilt and or trauma. Sukuna just took Higuruma Hiromi away from him. Sukuna is indirectly responsible for his entire life going down the drain. So of course, Itadori Yuji has the most character motivation for fighting Sukuna. Because it's literally everything. Took away his savior in Gojo Satoru, the person who saved his life. Took away Megami. Took away... Not really Nobara, that was Mahito's fault. But even still, like, everything in Yuji's life that is a horrible thing happened because of Sukuna. Though literally it happened because of Kijaku, but like that, he didn't know that, or at least he hasn't put those pieces together yet. So in his mind, everything wrong in his life can be traced back to one thing. I'd say one man, but Sukuna barely counts as a man. So one thing, Ryomen Sukuna, the king of curses. So in terms of sheer character investment, it doesn't get better with the rest of the heavy hitters. Even Yuta Okkotsu, who definitely wants smoke with Sukuna for like, for doing what he did to Inumaki and for doing what he did to Gojo. Bro wasn't even there for majority of the series. He was like, Suka, who? No, what? Huh? Like, he has no idea who Suka is for the most part, as what little he's seen of him. So realistically, he has no real context for Sukuna or anything like that. But Yuji Itadori, all the context there. All the desire, all the character, everything's kind of wrapped up in the Yuji and Sukuna dynamics, considering there's been no time to develop the Yuji and Kenjaku dynamic. So in terms of hero-villain dichotomy, you got it right then and there. Of course I'm excited to see that. And here's the thing. I said it about Yuta Okkotsu, and I'll say it again. Gege could literally pull out anything. And I don't care if it's not foreshadowed anything. I just want to see him have a good fight with Sukuna, bro. I really just want to see that. That's my main thing. I don't really need Itadori Yuji to beat Sukuna on his own. I don't. I really don't. I would be fine if it was a true group effort. If it was all 4 heavy hitters, plus the side cast, plus NPC number 475, plus the merger, all that. If they all gank Sukuna and beat him, as long as Itadori Yuji gets the final blow, I don't really care. But hey, like I said, I am personally in the camp that Yuji is blood manipulation. From his conversation with Kamo and Choso about training, and from what I believe is the piercing blood to be fired from Yuji, considering Choso never caught up, or is never implied to be Choso. Once again, that's just me. The official translations haven't come out for that yet, so I don't know. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is just Choso who fired off a piercing blood and then, I guess, laid back down or whatever. But I think he's got blood manipulation. That's cool. He has the soul swapping technique that's confirmed in a volume extra with Kusakabe and Itadori's body talking about the power of youth on some Might Guy type beat, and of course the whole interaction in 222 or 220, one of the two, where he, does the flip and is appeared to have swapped bodies with Kusakabe even then, because Kusakabe's like, you need to get a handle on it, Itadori. So like, clearly there's still stuff that can definitely go on power-wise with Yuji, and if he really did eat all of his different siblings, he could have multiple variations of manipulation. We still don't even know what the weird arm wraps do, or claws, or you think they're an extension of his curse technique, or even, hypothetically just curse tools. There's so much Yuji has to offer. He's gonna need a buff. He's gonna need to land up like Flash or something. He had the ability to make Sukuna jiggle. Like there are things that Yuji can do. Divergent Fist. There are things that Yuji can do that can make the fight more interesting. I don't even mind. Like, I hate to make Maki less unique, but I don't even mind if you give Yuji like the air combat perk where he can just leap off midair like Sukuna, Tochi, and Maki. Give him that. Give him everything he needs to make the battle as interesting as possible. Because on a fighting level, sure, Itadori's definitely lacking. But with all the character weight and growth and heft that's gone into it, Yuji Itadori has to be my number one for who I wish to see battle against the king of curses. However, that's my list. That's what I think. Please, what you guys think in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave hitters that are heavy. Not heavy hitters. Hitters that are heavy in the comment section down below. To thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a public Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dag on the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demix LND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokai, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.